So today we're going to talk about a subject that's either a sore subject that nobody wants to talk about, or it's a subject that everybody wants to know, how do I make this happen and how do I stop these things that we all know are going to happen at some point from happening. That thing that we all dread and that we all hear horror stories on. It's how do we get our employees to do what we ask them to do? So anybody that's dealt with an employee or even been an employee, we all know that we like to do things our own way. We like to do what we've learned how to do rather than what the boss says, you have to do it this way. So how do we get an employee to do what we ask them to do and to do it the way we want it done? So there comes the problem, right? So everybody knows that we are set in our ways and we want to do things our way. So how can we expect an employee to be any different than we are? We know how we like things done and we want it done that way. And that's as simple as that. We're the boss and you need to do exactly as I tell you every single time, or I'm going to start yelling and I'm going to be upset and this is going to be a problem and I'm going to fire all my employees if they don't listen. And so how do we avoid this? How do we stop from running into this trap that, oh man, I hired the wrong employees. I now have a bunch of guys that I can't control. They want to do things their way. When I get out to the house, they're just doing things their own way. When I check their work, it's bad. All of these things, how do we avoid it? How do we stop this from happening over and over and over again? So, I mean, it starts with number one, hiring, of course. If we hire poorly, then we're going to have a bunch of poor employees. But if we hire right, obviously we're bringing in the right people that are of the right mindset, that are going to work hard for us and want to see it succeed. So number one, hiring, and we've covered that in a different video. It's right there. So if you're interested in that and hiring good employees, then go there. But that's not where we're at today. Say we've hired already. We've already got our team and we've made good choices and we've hired the right crew. And if for one, if you haven't hired the right crew, then you need to start hiring now, today, to replace the crew that is not doing the work for you. But there may be another problem. It may not be the employee's problem. If you've watched my other video, and I'll put that one right here, on the 10 things that's killing your business, you'll notice that the number one reason why I feel, this is my opinion, that I feel people fail is their mindset is all jacked up. It's not where it needs to be. So what does that matter to the employees? Why are they not listening to me? Well, typically it's because your mindset is all screwed up. You're expecting them to bend over backwards for you to build your business where you want it to be, and they have no ownership in it. They don't care if you succeed or not, because as a boss, you suck. You're not a good boss. You're not a good employer. And that's what I see a lot of times is people that don't know how to lead a crew. It's not that the crew can't do the work or the crew can't, follow directions. It's that you have not led them to a place where they even care to take ownership of what you want them to do. They're just going through the motions. They're there for a paycheck. And you've caused that. It's not their fault that you've put them in a place where they can't win, they can't succeed, they can't take ownership because you are right there hovering over their backs. Now, we've all been there to where we've had a boss, and maybe some of you haven't, but a lot of us have had, whether it be our first job, our second job, working for whoever it is, we all know that boss that hovers, that's right over the top of you. And then every time you do something wrong, they're right there hounding, why'd you do that? Don't do that. You can't do it that way. You have to do it my way. And it's like a bulldog on them constantly. And they have no ownership of it because he's going to put out every fire and I can't do anything right because I'm a screw up and I need to just follow directions, I guess. And they're just drudgery after that, going through the motions. Why would they care about your business? All you seem to do is hover over them, bulldog them, tell them what they did wrong, and then micromanage everything that they're doing. If you have a business and you're not supposed to be on the truck, then get your ass off the truck. Why are you there in their faces? Yeah, I know why you're there in their faces, because you don't trust that they'll do what you want them to do. So we're right back to how do we get the employees to do what we want them to do? Well, bulldogging them, hovering over their shoulder, and micromanaging them is not the way to do it. So if that's your mode of operation right now, if I just have to be there and I have to do these things and I have to make sure that they're in the right places at the right times and they do it exactly the way I showed them, if that's you, you need to take a step back and you need to reevaluate how you're going to lead a team. Because that's not leading, that's doing it for them. Every time you see somebody do something wrong, you pick up the mess and you fix it. How about, for starters, you teach them how to pick up their own mess and then let them do it. Are they going to do it as good as you? No, probably not. But you know what? Your customer doesn't know it's not as good. If they get the job done and it's a different way than you did it, but they went through the motions and they did it as you showed them, but put their own spin on it, then who cares? Let them do it. The biggest problem that people have when they're training their employees is they don't allow them to take ownership of their own work. They're constantly worried that they're doing something wrong. Oh, I hope I did this right, because if I didn't, the boss is going to give me hell for it when he finds out I did it wrong. If your employees are scared to do anything new or anything different in your business, don't expect that they're going to go out of their way to try to do something to better your business. Because they're worried now, oh, he's going to get on me if I do this. He's going to get on me if I do that. He's going to come in tomorrow and I'm going to get yelled at for this. So first of all, if you're yelling at your employees, stop yelling at them. They're not children, they're adults. You would treat them like adults. Second of all, let them take ownership of their work. This is absolutely everything. If you want your employees to listen and do things well, then you need to let them take ownership of what they do. So when they're trained, you step back and you let them work. Are they going to make mistakes? Yes. We correct the mistakes when they happen. We don't go in there and, again, bulldog them and show them take over. No, let them do it. When you're training them, this starts from training on. When you're training them, you do a room, clean it. Boom, you showed them how to clean it. Now you hand them the wand and let them clean. Let them make their little mistakes. Correct the big mistakes. Correct the big things. You're doing that way wrong. Let's focus you on this. Let's do it this way. And then let them do it. Many of us as employers want to just take over. We're technicians. And it goes back to we're a technician. We're not having taken ownership of the business, and it's another mindset thing. If we're an owner, we are no longer a technician. Get off the wand. Let them take over the wand. Show them how, and then let them learn. We learn by doing. We all learn. We all started somewhere in this business, and we've been working for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and now it's time to let someone else do that work. And the only way they're going to do it well is to continue to do it. You clean a room, they clean a room. You clean a room, they clean a room. Fix the little errors, and pretty soon they're cleaning. Now you go away. Let them do the work. Let them make their own mistakes and fix their own errors. So you get a couple complaints from customers. It's going to happen. You've gotten complaints from customers. Yeah, you might have less after 10 or 20 years of doing something. Of course, you're going to have less complaints because you've gotten better at it. But if you have an employee that is now learning, but you're not letting them learn, you're putting out all the fires they make. Oh, you did that wrong, let me fix it. You did that wrong, let me fix it. Oh, that's wrong, let me fix it. If you're putting out the fires, then they're not learning. They need to learn by doing and allowing them to take ownership of their own techniques, their own way of cleaning. Your way is not the only way to run a wand. The way I train an employee, and I don't really train anymore, my employees train. And that's step 2. If you're off the van, get your ass off the van and let your crew train the next crew. You shouldn't have to constantly be, I hired someone now, I have to go train them. That shouldn't be what's happening. You should be able to, once someone's trained in your business, now they're a trainer. I don't hire helpers. I don't have a crew of, you're a lead tech and you're a helper. No, everyone is a technician. And they have the full capability once they're trained to train the next person. So I'm not, I hired this guy yesterday, now I have to go out on the van and train him. No, I hired this guy yesterday, you're on van number 2, and John will be the one training you today. Done. Your trainer is the previous employee you trained. So once you hire your first employee, that's your trainer. From now on, you're off the truck. You don't need to go train. You're a marketing professional now. You need to bring business in to keep those guys busy. Again, if you give them ownership of what they're doing, ownership of the cleaning job you've sent them on. So you go do Mrs. Jones today, go let them do Mrs. Jones. Oh, but Mrs. Jones, she's very particular. Yeah, she is. She's particular. All customers are particular. Go out, if absolutely necessary, prep Mrs. Jones. Hey, this is our crew. They're going to do a good job for you today. And then get off the job site. Let them do their job. Mrs. Jones will be okay. Will she ask for you? Probably. And you just simply tell her, I'm sorry, our crew is going to be out there today. I'm not available. And it's scary for somebody that's been in ownership of the business and in the business for a long time to say, I'm not going to be there to Mrs. Jones. You'd be surprised how many people are okay with that. They're not accustomed to anything else in their world of the same person showing up all the time. When they go to the restaurant, someone else serves them. When they go anywhere in any store in the world, they're not expecting the same person to be there every single time. It's kind of nice, but they don't have it. And if you have a good crew of employees, they're going to be showing up over and over again. And then Mrs. Jones gets to know them, and they become friends with that person. They get to know their family. If you train your employees to ask questions and talk to your customers, then they're going to be hand in hand with those customers again. And they're going to call and say, hey, can I have John back out to the house? He did a great job last time. And maybe John's there, maybe he's not. Maybe you've trained somebody else. Maybe some other crew needs to go there and just say, Mrs. Jones, John's not available, but you know what? We've got so-and-so. He's going to do a fantastic job for you today. Mrs. Jones will be okay. So don't act like you have to be at the job site. So you'll see a trend here I'm talking about. When you train an employee, you need to be, once they're trained, hands off. And what that does for an employee is it empowers them. It says, oh, he trusts me to go out and do this job. He trusts me to go do that. He's not in my face or over my shoulder anymore. He lets me work. And that gives a sense of ownership to the employee. If you're over their shoulder all the time, it's, oh, he doesn't trust me. But if you do trust them, now they have a sense of ownership in their own success. They know that there's nobody that is their backup. Now, if you're running a two-man crew, of course, then the second guy is also the backup, and they're both fully trained technicians. Nobody's a helper. Remember that. In business, there should be no helpers in your business. They should be fully trained technicians. And yeah, it's going to cost you a little bit more because you're paying them a fully trained technician wage rather than this helper wage that's a little lower. You still may have a part-time guy that is still a fully trained technician, but only runs part-time. But fully trained can fully do a job on his own without being looked at and watch what he's doing, make sure he does it right. You don't have to be on his over his shoulder all the time because he's still fully trained. So once the employees have this sense of ownership of their own work, they're going to strive to do it better. Now what happens is you'll get a complaint or somebody will say this didn't get done or that didn't get done. Then you can kind of step back and say, okay, let's go look at what happened on this job. If they're new, let's go look at what happened on this job. You go there and you talk to the customer, you see what exactly went wrong on the job, and you say, oh, well, this happened. I know you tried to do it this way and you needed to do it this way. Let's fix it. And then let them do it the new way, fix the problem, let the customer know, hey, this happens sometimes. We appreciate you letting us know so we can come out and fix it. Now that employee knows, next time I see this problem, this is how I fix it. And then get your ass off the truck. You don't need to be there. He now knows how to fix that problem. And the more time that goes by and the more problems and fires they put out on their own, the better technician they are. If you're hovering, they can't grow. You need to train them up and then get away. Let them take ownership of the job. As they grow and as they get better, now we give them more and more responsibility. So maybe we're going to have them call some customers, or maybe we're going to have them do more estimates, and maybe we're going to have them do who knows what. You know, there's a lot of things that need to be done in a business. Go pick up chemicals. Go check on a new crew on their work. Now you've given them the responsibility of checking someone else's work, and that should be happening too. When you can have customers that are old, reliable customers, and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to have this crew out there. Can I come the next day and check out their work? I say, absolutely, check out their work. Then you go, you check out the work. It's no pressure to the employee. They've finished it. You go in and you check the work. You verify everything that was done right. Maybe have a checklist and go through and say, okay, this was done, this was done. I noticed they didn't move that chair in the corner. That's something that we need to address. And then at your weekly meeting, or if you have a monthly meeting, whatever you have a meeting, say, okay, this is a couple of the houses I went and checked. Let's shore up these problems. We need to make sure we're moving these little pieces of furniture. We don't want to get lazy and not move them, and then the customer's not happy. And then it's no pressure to them. You didn't put out their own fire. You just noticed something they didn't do, brought it to their attention. Okay, so that's easy. And one more thing that is crucial with, and this happens first in hiring, and then as you go through in your training process and your weekly meetings and all these things happening, make sure you're very solid on what your core values of the business are. So if your core values are honesty and exceptional cleaning or whatever they are, make sure that if a core value of the business is being broken, that's a deal breaker for an employee. The employees, when they're brought on, know, okay, these are the core values. These are non-negotiable things. So if somebody breaks a non-negotiable rule in the business, then we have a problem. So they know, okay, these are the rules that I cannot break, that are non-bendable rules. And then if they break one, they know this is serious. We don't break these rules. These are commandments. They don't get bent. They don't get broken. This is what we live by. And then they know when they go out to the job site, that's simple. I don't break these rules. Everything else goes. Okay? And they have ownership of it. And their job is just to do the job right. Just do it right. You do it your own way as per the rules you've laid out for them, as the technique that you prefer that they use, all the steps you want done. They know I do these steps. If I do these steps, the job's done correctly. If you can go to a job site and you don't know that anything was done wrong, everything looks good just like you would, it's perfect. But if something was not quite right, then we correct the small things. And then if a big thing was broken, if one of the core values was broken, we can just say, okay, you did this. Is that in line with our core values? They can say, no, that's not in line with the core values. I shouldn't have done that. And then they know, okay, don't do that again, because that's a deal breaker. We may have to start looking for a new employee if the core values are being broken on a weekly basis. It's not going to work out. You're not willing to follow the core values. We'll let you go. Okay, but all these little things that are lined up and don't, they matter on cleanability and all that, but they're not core values. Those things get simply corrected. Hey, I noticed this happened. Let's not do that next time. But it's not this big ordeal. You're not yelling at them because they didn't move a chair. You're saying, hey, look, they wanted that chair moved and you didn't move it. I don't know what happened, but we need to make sure that doesn't happen again. Now, you didn't put the fire out for them. You didn't yell at them. They just realized, I screwed up and didn't do that job at a sufficient manner to reflect good on the business. And if it doesn't reflect good on the business, we don't get more work. They don't get a big paycheck. So make sure there's bonuses. Make sure there's things that they can do to better their paycheck. In my business, I give them a couple hours more at the end of the day if they made $1,000 a day. So they're increase the sales that they make, and they're trying to go out and get more jobs, and they can go and they'll get a bonus in their paycheck if they talk to a neighbor and get the job. Maybe they get 10% of a $400 or $500 or $600 or $1,000 job, and now they're happy because, man, I made another $100 on that job. I made 10% and I sold it. And that's $100 in their paycheck. So those things help too, but what really helps the most is get off their back, get out of the way, let them do their work, stop worrying and stop being perfect and stop, it's got to be done my way. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be done your way. It can be done their way and it still be good. Stop badgering them, stop being over their shoulder and making sure they're doing everything perfectly the way you would do it yourself. It's not going to happen. Your mindset needs to change. You're an owner now, you're not the technician. Get off the truck and let them work. Stop trying to be the technician. You're an owner now, time to act like an owner. And we teach our employees to do what we need them to do and then let them do it. That's the biggest problem with a boss that can't let go of his technician mentality is he's always going to be putting out their fires. And there's never going to be a shortage of fires because you're always there putting them out. They're never going to take ownership and you'll always be there and you'll never get a day where it's, oh, I can just relax because my guys are doing it all themselves and I don't have to worry about it. That'll never happen unless you can stop putting out all their fires. Let them make their own mistakes, let them fix their own mistakes, correct them when necessary, and let them take ownership of their position. What also helps is the little things, like I said, bonuses and all that. Also, a little thing that helps, just a little tip, is give them their own business cards. I know it doesn't sound like much, you've had a business card forever, but a lot of these guys, when they come on to work, they've never had a business card in their hand that they can say, hey, I'm legitimate, I have a business card. You'd be surprised how much that makes someone feel good about the position that they're in and they're willing to work hard because now they're official. They're a, whatever you want to name them, technician. Put their name on the card, not yours, just their name. And then their position underneath that. You don't even have to put the position. You could just say, whatever your business name, whatever your card looks like, their name, and they can hand that out. For as much as the customer knows, they're the business owner. And that feels good to somebody. So that's it for this episode. So make sure that you like and subscribe. Hit the bell. If you're not aware, we do have a adjoining podcast that goes with this. Same information. There may be some bonus stuff in there at some point. As of right now, it's just the same as the video. But if it's harder to watch a video, feel free to watch the podcast. Just search Carpet Cleaner Training. You'll find it everywhere. Other than that, have a great day and be a better boss. If you haven't hired yet, think about hiring. We'll be going more into hiring, more into a lot of different things. So if you're interested in working with us, go on to carpetcleanertraining.com and schedule a call. Other than that, have a great week and we'll see you in the next video.